Today we're in Acts chapter 22, and I'm going to keep it very brief. The point I want you to get is the power of your testimony. Paul is arrested, and there's the crowd, and so he's going to make a defense. And what he shares is simply his testimony. Later, you'll see when he goes on trial before King Agrippa, he does the same thing. He shares his testimony. A testimony has three parts. You share your life before Christ, how you met Christ, and how your life has changed since. And that's exactly what Paul does. He talks about how he was a Jew, even a Jew that persecuted Christians. Then he describes his encounter with Jesus, how he met Christ was on the Damascus Road. When Jesus appeared to him, he goes into the story about losing his eyesight and then having it restored by Ananias in Damascus. So he tells the story of how he met Christ. And then, third part of a testimony is how your life has changed since. And he talks about how God has called him to the Gentiles. Now, the people in Acts chapter 22 were not very responsive. And my prayer is that you'll have more success than that. But remember, when you share your faith, the most powerful thing you can share is what God has done in your own life. Paul is so deep. What a theologian. This is the guy who wrote 13 books in the New Testament, the book of Romans with all of the theological depth. He could have shared a lot, but all he did was share his own story. And so when you're talking to someone about Jesus, whether you have all the verses memorized or whether you think you can say it as well as a pastor, I just want you to remember one of the most powerful things you can share when you're talking to someone about Jesus is your own story, your own testimony. Remember, three parts: your life before Jesus Christ, how you met Jesus, and how your life has been since. They can argue with a lot of things, but they can't argue with the changed life. They can't argue with what God has done for you. So remember that this week and pray. Pray for an opportunity to share your God story with someone today. Tomorrow we'll be in Acts chapter 23.